Hey guys, what's happening here? This is a quick live video update. This is not going to be a podcast. We're just going live here real quick. I got Matt Carr, my co-host here, along with Travis Stewart, the handsome guy over there driving. A couple marketing geniuses, marketing gurus here, aside from Matt being my co-host. So I wanted to get their thoughts real quick on. We talked about. I went on Instagram Live and Facebook Live and kind of gave my rundown of thoughts on the Stone Brewing suing MillerCoors Keystone over packaging using the word stone. And so, guys, let's get right into it. We'll start here with you, Matt. What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, well, first, I think you used the term genius pretty loosely. But, you know, we have a rough idea what we're doing. But, yeah, I think it's interesting. I watched your comments a little bit there on your Facebook post, and I think you nailed it pretty square on the head. I don't, again, this would be a good question for Art or another lawyer. I don't know that their legal claim has a whole ton of merit, but I also don't have a whole ton of trademark law experience. So maybe there's something there for them to stand on. Maybe it just gets thrown out of court. Who knows? To me, I think it's virtue signaling by Stone, saying, even though we're a big boy in the room of craft brewing, that we're still craft, we're still looking out for craft's interests. We're willing to put our money where our mouth is and take legal steps to protect our brand from the big bad wolf of MillerCoors or AB InBev or whoever it happens to be at the time. And that it's a marketing move. And from a marketing angle, I don't know that it's necessarily a bad move. I think they probably will get more press out of this than they will out of writing an article saying, hey, it's kind of weak that you guys are using Stone as a brand move. I think that this sort of press will certainly get a lot more attention. It's like I said, it signals to the community that they're there to back up what they say and that they care about the craft industry and they're willing to take actions to protect themselves and so on and so forth. Do I think it's the right way to do it? I don't know about that. I think there's plenty of ways to spend money on marketing, and if they went into this from a purely marketing angle, it might actually be kind of smart. Do I think that from a legal angle they have a whole lot to stand on? I don't.
Right.
Yeah, what do you think, Travis? So just a disclaimer, Travis drinks Coors products with some regularity. So he has a little bit different angle than what we drink, but also enjoys craft beer and lives in Maine where there's a good craft beer scene. So what's your take, buddy?
Yeah, I am a light beer guy. Drink Coors, Bud Light, you know, all the good stuff. I got a state trooper on my butt, so I'm gonna pretend I'm not talking to camera right now. I also drink craft beer like Matt said, and honestly, you know, to me, I think the real winner here is Keystone Brewery. Not brewery, but Keystone, because for me, yeah, I drink a lot of craft beer, but I also drink a lot of light beer. I want to go try a Keystone now.
Right.
You know, I want to go buy a Keystone and try a Keystone. So I think it's a marketing ploy that maybe Stone pulled, and Keystone is actually going to see some benefit from this because they're getting a lot more marketing out of this too. Also, I think it's, you know, Stone Brewing, it's almost like the first day of school where, you know, you come into, or prison as some people would say, where you get there, the idea is to punch the biggest guy in the room first thing. I think they did that, but they might have picked on the wrong guy here because Keystone, we've seen their advertising. They're scrappy guys, you know, they're a big player and they're down for a fight. I'm excited to see what they come back with because, you know, they may come back and, you know, obviously win a fight like this because there isn't much ground to stand on, as far as I can see. But they may counter with something pretty interesting too.
Yeah,
I think it was a mistake.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point you bring up. I think that Keystone's going to get a lot of press out of this. I mean, when was the last time someone was like, "Yo, did you see that awesome Keystone ad?" No, I had a great Keystone this weekend. It was just so delicious.
I think their last advertising campaign was that Keith Stone.
Yeah.
One. Did you see that where he had like the mullet and stuff?
Yeah.
Keith Stone.
But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but they're a pretty budget brand, even in the world of big beer, correct?
I think so.
Like kind of in the Natty Ice area.
That's my assumption of the brand.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I know a ton about them, but
Right.
at least I get that feel. I don't think that a ton of people really think of Keystone when they think of good beer marketing, or they think of even good domestic big beer. I don't think that's one of the premium brands out there. So that's an interesting point you make. This actually brings a lot of attention to them. And
Sure.
people
Yeah, I don't think
like,
it's the old saying, right? All publicity is good publicity. All press is good press.
Sure, yeah.
So definitely a benefit to Keystone there. My concern, and I don't know if you guys have this concern, is guys that just practice in the business world here, not even just about beer, is if this is a marketing ploy by Stone, the frivolous nature of it and the selfish nature of it to use the court system to gain publicity over trademark laws, because trademark laws are really funky. They do have a trademark on the word Stone in the beer industry, yet Keystone has been around 20 years longer than Stone Brewing has been around. So there's definitely funky laws. Maybe their lawyers see a case, but if they are purely using the court system for a marketing purpose, isn't that quite frivolous and dangerous to all business?
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I don't like frivolous lawsuits at all. I think any time that occurs, it just makes our legal systems worse. Maybe it's frivolous. Maybe they do feel that they have a legitimate claim. I mean, there's certainly plenty of big beer cases where they go after stuff that could also be considered frivolous and win because they have big legal teams and so on.
Absolutely.
Maybe this is a move by Stone to say, okay, we're willing to do the same thing and insulate ourselves to show you that we mean business too. I don't know. I think whether or not it's frivolous would probably need a better legally educated mind than mine to really make a educated opinion on that. I don't love it. I'll say that. I think there are plenty of other ways to make a point. I think if they had made a big splash in social and other avenues about, hey, look at this shameless attempt to try and rip us off, there would have been just as much hype without the legal action necessary. So I don't know. Who knows what their whole angle is? I'm very curious to see it all play out. I'm curious to see if a court is willing to hear the case and what their initial filing is going to look like. It's interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. And I do think a little bit, if anyone does watch this, we might get a little bit killed by the craft beer community because they are passionate and they hate big beer. And their bias blinds them to side on the side of the craft brewer. But so I think it's an interesting conversation that the craft beer industry needs to have. So
no, I agree. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're craft beer people. Stone 10 times out of 10 over any big beer product always, period. To sue anybody to make that decision though, and I think that's what people who want to get very emotional about this need to remember, is that this is a legal action by one business to another that, to me, like I said, is a virtue signal proposition. No one is walking into a store and getting confused between Keystone and a Stone product, period. And if you are, like you said, you probably shouldn't be shopping by yourself. So I don't think there's really any danger. I don't know how that plays into assessing whether or not damage has occurred.
Well, that's a good question for Travis, I think, as somebody that drinks both a little bit of craft beer and has proclaimed that he likes the light stuff. Travis, would you find any have you seen the cans or anything like that, or the marketing?
There's no confusion. I mean, when you're buying beer, you know what you're buying. You know where Keystone is in the beer aisle. You know where Stone Brewing is in the beer aisle.
Right.
There's no confusion there. The problem becomes, I hate to generalize it this way, but your craft brewing scene is a little bit more intellectual. You know, they'll take their time to research beer a little bit more. They know a lot more about it. But your Keystone or your light beer crowd, I hate to put myself in this, is a little bit more uneducated about beer, but a hell of a lot more passionate in, protecting their beer, you know, protecting their Bud Light, their Coors Light, their Keystone. So you can easily, a large beer crowd by move like this.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's another good point too. I think there's no way that anyone confuses it. Do you want crossover customers? Does that damage the ability for those customers to cross over? Like, how does that all play in? There's a ton of angles from a marketing angle. There's a ton of angles from a legal angle. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is really the first like big lawsuit relating to something like this where craft is suing the big boys. Are you aware of any other ones that are kind of at this scale?
I'm not. No, I mean, there's a lot of like craft on craft and over naming rights of cans and stuff, but nothing this blatantly.
Yeah, you also brought up another point too, Travis, before I forget it, that craft beer is super fickle, right? Like I buy something different every time I'm in there. And maybe part of this is Stone just trying to create some brand loyalty in a market where someone says, and actually I think this came out recently when Dogfish closed, they said one of the big realizations for us was when we were at a beer fest and someone tried one of our beers, was like, oh, this reminds me of that beer, and I can't remember the name of, and I don't remember who made it, but it was really good. And I think that's a big thing in the craft beer scene right now, is there's so much beer, and creating brand loyalty is a relatively difficult thing because that market wants the new thing. They want the new stuff. They want to be the cool kid. And there's something to be said for getting people to remember the name Stone in a market that's incredibly fickle.
Yeah, and Stone is on the cusp of being too big to be craft, right? And when you go to the craft beer stores, they're on an end cap and it's everywhere. You can get it everywhere. It's not limited in its quantity. I think a lot
has been for quite some time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people pass it over. So that could be an angle trying to recreate that loyalty as, hey, we're the big guy in this market, but you know what? We're the only ones able to, like Trav said, walk into a room and punch the bigger guy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all interesting stuff.
For sure. Well, hey guys, hate to cut you short here, but I think this is something we'll probably keep following, keep discussing on the podcast as the news keeps turning out about this. I just wanted to get your topic while it's hot. I'm hoping that people watch the video and comment on our YouTube sections, go to our Facebook page, follow us on the podcast, and just let's have this discussion. I think it's a great discussion to have.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. Please let us know what you're thinking, how you're feeling about it, and we'll definitely be talking about it in future pods for sure as it all unfolds.
Cool. Well, hey guys, thanks for going live with me here, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy a nice cold craft beer after work, Travis.
All
right, guys. Man. See ya.